Hey, what's happening, everyone? Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan here. And today I just want to invite you on a coaching call with me. This is a live call that I did with a student of mine. She's got some issues making offers, just not really comfortable doing it. So I'm just coaching her through, giving her some advice on how to go about doing it. There's sometimes where it can be a little bit lengthy. The calls or the questions aren't too pertinent. So I'm just going to cut that out. I just want to make the video as efficient as possible for you. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and crack into it. Yeah, I really want to get you in the habit of making a lot more offers and not being so tied to the formula and getting it right. So one thing I kind of put in that text message the other day is I would rather have you make 100 offers that are incorrect, based on that formula that we talk about. But essentially it's giving you that experience because, the style that I teach is far more important to do your offers in volume and focus more so on the follow-up than the initial offer. So if you remember, I think you did an offer, maybe this might be like a week ago, and it was a condo. Remember the dude who was like asking, was it like 120 or something?
Right.
And you made a really low offer. It was a bad offer. It was like 2,000 or something that, we talked about. It wasn't great, right?
Well, let me say this too, is that was in our initial conversation, but he did add to that. He said 100,000, and he said, "Well, I don't know." So it was like he didn't know what price to offer. So he just threw something out there because he said, "Well, I don't know." So I took it from there, and did, came up with what I came up later on and gave him that. So
and he laughed at you. Right?
Yeah, he did.
And it's kind of a shitty feeling, right?
It did what?
It's kind of a shitty feeling.
Oh, I expect that. Really, I expect that. Everybody's not gonna. Yeah, that's not a problem. I'm used to that in my everyday life, so that's not a problem. So
you're ahead of the curve in that sense, right? But what I would do is,
say that.
I said you're ahead of the curve because for most people, that type of rejection, it can be very stifling and it just stops them from making offer. Like I've had students like they get that the first time they get that, the next week they don't make any offers because they're like, man, I felt terrible or whatever. But what I would say to you, that may just be a bust and that happens, so that's cool. But what I would say, let's flip the script a little bit, right? So let's say you're the seller. You're talking to me. I'm saying, give me a number. And then you're going to say what most sellers do. Well, why don't you give me a number, right? I throw it out at you. Okay, 2,000. And you laugh me off, right? So instead of just ending it there, and sometimes you can't recover it in the same day, but that's why I say follow up, next week, then next week, and then every 30 days or so forth, because you just never know what happens in people's lives. This guy could lose his job in a month. But essentially, you want to say from there, the guy laughs at you, and you could just play along. Oh yeah, I understand. That's it's a little funny, but let me be honest with you. I mean, you live in this property, or you own this property. You know what it's worth. I'm an investor, right? So I really can't tell you the offer straight off the bat. We're looking at a lot of different properties right now in the area. I haven't been to yours, and obviously I can only do a deal with you if it works for you and works for me. Now, I'm looking to make a profit. If I can squeeze even a little bit of profit out of this thing, I'd be happy to work with you. But, I don't want to get you an insulting offer where you laugh at me. So how about this? Why don't you just give me like a ballpark figure? That way I can go back and look at my properties. And if it even makes sense, if we're both in a similar area, maybe we could come up with something that works for both of us. And in that sense, you'll give me something where I could make a little bit of money on. And then, I pay cash, I close quickly, we can wrap up. It's got to be win-win for both of us. If not, you might just be better off going with a realtor. And, sure, it'll take a little bit longer. You might have to wait a couple of months. And if you find a buyer and they can get approved with their mortgage, you'll wait a little bit longer and you'll have to pay that realtor commission. But at the end of the day, you probably will get a slightly higher offer. So, all I'm trying to do is give you some options here. Again, it's got to work for both of us. But, what I need you to do, just throw me a number. Just give me a ballpark figure. Where you at, man? And then from there, they might, if you push a little bit, they might give you a number. Some people are just hard up. They might not at all. And that happens. But then, call them back a week. Hey, just checking in. You still good? How's that going? Okay. And then from there, you can even ask for referrals. Well, I'm looking for properties in the area. Do you know anybody else looking to sell? I pay pay a referral fee or whatever. But the point is to just keep following up. So the point I guess I'm making is that initial offer can be largely irrelevant. They might want 100,000. You might offer 10,000. It's ridiculous. Obviously, it's not a real number. I'm just saying, it's not what you make initially, but it's how you recover. How did they react? How can you follow up with them? How can you squeeze out a number out of them and see where they're at and just kind of keep going? So that said, let's jump into the property that you wanted to show me, and we're not gonna run like any type of full comps, not the SciTech stuff that I show, in the membership portal, but just from my end. And again, basically, I'm just going to look at like general information. I got Zillow pulled up on my computer. I'm just going to take a quick look. And then from there, that initial offer, it just has to kind of make some kind of sense, but it's really more how you follow up with it. Okay?
Okay. So
right,
let
so
me be clear, though. Let me be clear, though, on what we're doing, because I am going according to the instructions in the modules, right? And I have the Bank of America site pulled up, so
okay.
I was taking the comps from there. I also have Zillow pulled up because you mentioned in the module 2 that there's a tab there that have data for recent house sales.
Correct.
So
yeah.
Using that information, that's what I'm going by to, get my information, and I'm not sure if I'm doing that right or not, so that's why, I called.
Okay, that's cool. So let's pull it up in real time together. And again, the stuff that I'm teaching you in that module, essentially a lot of that is the ideal way. And it's basically saying like, at this number, it's a pretty solid deal. But the other thing that you have to realize, and that might be in some of the later stuff, is that you got different kinds of buyers. So while the traditional wholesale formula will tell you, it's got to be at 70%, the ARV. It's like in an ideal world, yes. But then you have some buyers, they're international buyers. They just want to park their money somewhere in the U.S. Then you have buyers who they're using hard money. They're paying 4 points and 15%. They can't, they can't spend the same amount as someone who just has that money sitting around and just putting it out. Some people just like certain areas. Like people buy for all different reasons. Some people want to rehab. They just want to make $20K. Some people won't touch anything less than $50K. Some people want to hold it as a rental so that they can, have passive income flow. So that's the ideal formula. But the other thing is that when you make that offer, the most important thing is getting it under contract so you have that control. And then during your inspection period is when you can add addendums, you can ask for price reductions, you can ask for credit on the HUD, and you can do all these things so that you can get to a place where both of you essentially win, right?
Hopefully, that's the goal.
That's the idea. So throw me this address. Let's take a look at this together real quick.
Okay. So 4.
I get it. So far, I like when they have like some pictures and stuff. That helps. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do, just read the description very quickly. Blah 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 blah. Built in 27.
And that's
a little bit older.
Are you pulling it up on Zillow?
Yeah, I'm on Zillow right now.
Oh, okay. Let me get there because I'm on Bank of America. Okay.
And again, like when you're just looking at something very quickly, I like to look at them all. I might pull up, if I'm not doing like an actual comp, I just want kind of a quick comp. I'll have Zillow open, that Chase site I sent you guys, the Bank of America, all that stuff, just to get like a rough idea, So I don't look at this as estimate. I don't really look at this similar homes for sale. I'm just going to go check out the nearby similar sales. So I'm going to click that.
Okay, so
bottom right-hand
we're
corner.
On that.
All right, so this is what I do quickly. Like, if you remember in the module when we do like a serious comp, it's very important to be in the same subdivision. So when we're doing just this quick look, one thing that can be indicative of the subdivision is if you see like major roads or like railways, usually that's how they dice these areas up. So I'm going to zoom in on this map a little bit, and you're going to see the green dot is your home, and then right around there, they're like the 3 closest to those. I'm going to take a look at those first. And then also the thing that we need, usually Zillow is pretty good about having the beds and bathrooms correct. It usually pulls that direct from public record, from the property appraiser or tax assessor site. Now, sometimes that information is even missing from the tax assessor site. So the first thing you want to go back and confirm that. And then you want to make sure that when you look at these, like here, the main thing is that the structure is similar. So you don't want to compare something like concrete to, a frame house. Generally, there's a picture so you can get a good idea. If there isn't, hey, we just got to work with it. It looks like so far the ballpark, a lot of these, they look pretty similar, so that's kind of a good sign. And then you want to make sure that they just kind of built around the same time, just for starters, right? So the first one I'm gonna do is
So
No, that's correct. So if you click on the yellow dot, we're like closest to this, you'll see it pops up 33K, and then below it highlights the details. So that's going to be 15719 Marshfield Ave, and that one sold for 33,000. And then the next one to the left of that sold for 46.
Okay, you're going a little fast. Hold on now. Okay, I clicked on the one to the right of it, the yellow to the right of the green, and a box popped up and it says 42K, 4 bed, 2 bath, 1013 square feet.
Right. Now you already know that yours is only a 1 bath, so your price is probably going to be a little bit below that. And again, this is just a quick version. This is not like a real comp, but this is just to get you in the ballpark, because when you're talking to the seller, this is not listed, right? This is not an agent. This is a seller, right?
Right. This is a seller.
And how'd you get this lead, by the way?
This one I got one from. Let me look at my paperwork. I think she got a flyer from me. I think she got a flyer. But this one, actually, I talked to them. This one has 1.5 baths and I don't know if you call the other one the second bath and a half. It has a shower in it. A 1 full and 1 bathroom with a shower in it.
Okay, and this is going to help you with your negotiation as well, because when they tell you, okay, you got like a 1.5 bath or 2 bath, you say, well, I'm an investor, I have to go by what's online. Was that added with a permit? Was it not? And if you have that discussion, maybe you can say, well, it's listed online as a 1 bathroom, so I have to take that into account for my numbers. It's just something you could kind of throw in there.
Oh, okay.
So, again, when you're dealing with that seller, right, the most important thing is number one, you got to find out why they're selling. We talked about that before, but definitely their motivation. Right. Then you got to find out if there's a mortgage balance, because that's going to be really important.
Right.
And then the other thing, you got to ask that question, like, what's the lease that you'll take? And again, expect them to not give you a number, or they're going to tell you, well, you give me the number first. And that's where you kind of had that conversation, very friendly, whatever, but just let them know, I'm an investor, I'm looking at everything. Look, we're not signing any paperwork or anything. I don't want to insult you. Just let me get a ballpark figure, because I'm looking at a couple different properties. I haven't been there. I don't know what it looks like. I can't even begin to tell you if this is something I can even look at without knowing where you're kind of at. So when we're doing this kind of, it's not even an analysis, but just a rough look at the surrounding things. They may not even be true comps, but for our purposes, we'll call them comps right now. You just have to be, like, for example, if this lady owes $40,000 on this property, there's no deal here unless she has a distressed situation and you can work out a short sale. So at least I know, like, kind of where I'm working from. So, like, I could look at this right now and see that these things are going for about like 30,000 or so.
I have all that information already. Those questions I already asked her.
Okay.
It's paid for. There's no lien. The lease she wants for it is 25. I've already got all that information here.
Okay, good. Well, I think that's a very good thing, because if she tells you, on your initial call that her bottom number is 25, people are going to drop lower than that. Especially if you can tell them you're doing cash and you're going to do it, quickly. You can close quickly, and she's got free and clear title on there. You can get below that. Now, I think if you can, like, even if we do that rough formula, I'm looking at it's about 21,000 where you want to be ideally. And again, that's assuming that there's not these major repairs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get, make sure that I know what I'm doing, because I'm not moving. I'm not making any more offers until I know that I know. Because, like you said, this should only take a minute. But it's something I'm doing I'm not feeling comfortable with, and I should not be feeling like this.
I'm going to disagree with you right there. If you wait until you're comfortable with this, you're not going to do it. There's some cases where you can just, even on Zillow, and you just get these perfect comps. All the properties look the same. They're cookie cutter. You plug in the formula, boom, you get the perfect offer, right? Then there's cases where that doesn't happen. And I understand what you're saying, but this confidence in the offer-making process, you're just not going to have it. And this might be one of those cases. So what I'm saying is, I think you're overcomplicating the process right now, to the point where, like, I can look at this thing, I say 26, 28, 30, 33. All right, I'm going to take a rough estimate of 30,000. I'm going to multiply it by 0.7. You're in, right? You see my screen, right?
No. Yeah, now I can.
Okay, cool. So this is where we came. Let's see. We came to this, right? A lot of times if you're on this page, when you scroll down, see, you might not see everything. So always expand the page. Boom, you expand it. Then you got the similar homes for sale right here on the right. Scroll down, scroll down. These are the actual sales that happen with the yellow dots, right? So click here.
Okay.
Bang, similar sales. Now again, it's not an exact science, right? So I always zoom in on the map.
Right.
I want to see the things closest. This property right here is on the same street, so this is probably going to be the closest one to just check out. So that's right there, 33K. The lowest ones, these are in order of sale, right? So again, see here, these are the numbers I was just screaming out before: 26.5, 28.5, 30, 33, right? These are all kind of in the same area. If you want to dig a little bit deeper, you can just right click on each of them just to see like kind of when they were built. See, I'm opening them up in new tabs, and I can see, okay, this is about the same square footage. Was it built in the 1920s? This one's built a little bit. This is 1958, so that's why probably it's a little bit higher. Okay, again, it's just rough. This one here, 65, and that one's for 26. So you can use this stuff too when you're negotiating. Say, look, your property is built in 29 and you want 25. This property here is built in 1965. It's in good condition, you know, and it's sold for 26,000. And that's how you can justify. Not that you always have to, based on the seller's level of motivation, but sometimes you have that discussion. Say, look, I got to make a profit. I don't even care if I only make, you know, a few $1,000s, but understand, you know, I got these holding costs, this, that, and you know, if you found a retail buyer, your house would have to appraise and all this stuff. I'm buying as is, so you know what's up. Again, this is another one.
Okay,
so look at.
So those prices, those sold prices, it doesn't matter because these don't really tell you whether they were retail or cash buy sales.
Correct.
So that as far as these free comps, it doesn't matter when we're doing the rough estimate.
When you're doing the rough estimate, correct. I mean, you can sometimes in pictures, you can kind of see, you can kind of gauge it, you can kind of take a guess. But again, you'd have to go to SciTex or do some research to, you know, depending on the tax assessor website to see if it's retail or, you know, if it was a cash purchase. But in this case, when you're just trying to get that rough estimate, it really doesn't matter. So even this one, this was built in 1909.
Okay.
We get
because
this sold
I don't
at 30.
I don't have the paid comps right now. I'm just doing all the free stuff.
That's fine. And again, like some of these houses here, I'm looking at the pictures. They're not necessarily the same. Some of these are brick. Some of them look like concrete. The structure. A lot of communities, the way they built them, the houses are almost identical from side to side. So it's a little bit easier to comp just by looking at pictures. Now this is not necessarily the case, but at the same time, like I don't need all that detail to know. Look, these houses in this area, like if I was walking to a seller, look, these houses look like they're in good condition. They're going for $25,000. You trying to sell them to me for $25,000? I'm paying you cash. I'm closing quickly. Look, I really want to work with you, but understand I got to make a profit, and I can't hit you at 25. So let's see if we can meet in a place. You know, really, what's the lowest you'll take? Let's see if we can get ourselves to a win-win situation. So again, the ideal thing is to get the number out of her first. She came up with 25. You tell her, hey, we can't do it for these reasons. You got something, you know, on the same block in very good condition that's built in 1950 that just sold for 25. So obviously you're way over. Remember, this lady doesn't have a mortgage balance, so she's probably going to go lower. So you can tell her that. And then you ask her again, so what can you really do, right? See if she'll drop on her price. You get her to drop a couple times, and then when she gets to whatever she says her bare minimum, you're going to make your offer just a little bit lower than that. In most cases, again, I believe in being empathetic and trying to help people and stuff like that. So it depends on the situation and what that person's going through. But at the same time, you know, the numbers are here. Like, you don't need to know good comps. You don't need really good comps. You can look at these four. You see my screen, 26, 28, 33, 30. I can just look at those and say, okay, let's just assume this property's worth $30,000, right? So I'm going to pull up my calculator, 30,000 times 0.7. I'm not even thinking about repairs right now because personally, I don't think about that. As you know, like I look at that stuff. I got to get the contract first before I'm investing in anything else because I like to look at a lot of different properties, right? So I'm going to get the contract at a decent number with an inspection period that I can then, at that point, when I'm marketing the property and I get an offer from a buyer, I can know where I need to be and I can negotiate a price reduction. So right now, I can tell you, ideally, you want to be at 21,000 to be very confident that this is going to sell. Now, could someone buy it for 25? Maybe they might, and I would still recommend you pursue the deal if you could sell at 25. But
okay, but this is without the repairs. This is saying that it doesn't. You haven't even calculated in repairs.
Correct, but here's the thing. I want you to take steps. I want you to think about this in steps. You're thinking about how much you're gonna sell for at the end. I don't want you thinking it right now. Right now, I want you to get it under contract, right? So what I would do is say to her, lady, you got stuff here that's built in 1950 that's larger than your property. It's in good condition, selling for 25. I can't do 25. I need to make a profit. Can we work together? Otherwise, I got to move to the next one. She's going to give you a number. She's probably going to say, okay, I can do 20. At which point, you can go to her with a contract of, say, I don't know, 15. Throw it to her, see what she says. Maybe she'll sign it. Maybe she won't. Maybe she'll say, no, I'll meet you in the middle at 18. I would sign it. Make sure you have your inspection period. You put it out to your market at 20, 25. Maybe you get an offer at, I don't know, 15. Or maybe you get an offer at 18. I had to plug in my computer, sorry. And then you go back to her and say, look, we did the inspection. I ran some additional comps. My partner came in. The most that we can do at this point is 12,000. You got to kind of take it or leave it. She says, yes, you do the deal at 12. You're only going to make 3. But again, you're dealing kind of these are low numbers here. The house is only selling the 20s. So you take that, you move to the next one. She says no. You say, okay. You put her in your follow-up system. You call her every 30 days. You say, hey, how's that 25 going? And that's it. And again, if you're just doing like one offer a day, it's just not going to work for you. But if you do this 100 times, you don't have to get the number right every time. You don't have to sell it properly every time. And some sellers, it's just not going to work. But again, rough estimate here. So let me get the the next property.
So let me ask you this though, because it sounds like you're saying doing this and you haven't even seen the property yet, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm not making an offer on the phone. I'm just calling, getting the information about the property.
Right.
Okay, and then I come back and do this, see what I can see, and determine based on what they're telling me, and just to get an idea. I come back here and try to get the comps and get all the numbers right to get a feel for where I might be.
Correct.
Add in the profit and everything. Okay, so with this particular property, okay, so here you say, okay, we see that the recently sold here are about 30,000. So then I would take this, saying that I did not see the property already because I have, but saying that I didn't see it, I just got the call, I go here, look here, and I also, what I had been using was Bank of America.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I'm glad you went through this one right here because I hadn't really known how to go through it on Zillow. So I'm looking at this here, and I guess it's the same with Bank of America. Take their average, the comps, make an average of it, and I would say here that these averages are about, I would say about 27, 25. I would say 25. So I got 25,000. And I would do the formula then, correct? The 25,000 times 7%, which I should be
70%
with
times
my
0.7.
calculator. Okay, hold on, let me. 25 times 0.7 equals, okay, I got, 17.5. Okay, then I'm subtracting my, I want to make 10.
Right.
So if I want to, Okay, so if I'm at 17.5 and I want to make 10, that leaves 7,500.
Right.
That's terrible.
It is. I mean, in on this kind of deal, if she's asking that, you might not be able to make 10. That's what I'm saying. It all depends on the seller's level of motivation. If she wants to get out, she'll give you 7.
Okay.
You can make 10. At the same time, if she says, the least I'm gonna take is 15, you could take it and make 2 and walk away. I mean, look, you can have 2,000 more in your pocket and move to the next one, or you can have nothing in your pocket and move to the next one.
Right. That's
and then the other thing too is like you run these numbers, but this is also beginner stuff, because you're gonna get used to certain areas. Like there are areas right now for me, for example, right? I don't need to look at a comp. Like if I'm looking at Lake Worth, a place in Florida, I know there's an area. There's different areas. I know if I'm in the alphabets, I know exactly what number I need to be to sell, and I have buyers that I can call and be like, "Yo, I got a property on 8th Street for 80,000." I know they'll take it. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna get to a point where you just know these things. Yeah. But for now,
and that's where I want it. I'll be glad when I get there. But I'm not there right now. Yeah.
Right. And again, this is not. It's not gonna be a formula where it's gonna be this perfect thing every time. And you're just gonna have to kind of go with it. That's why I'm gonna kind of look at some other addresses that you have for me, so we can look at it. Sometimes it's gonna work really well, right? Just by the public information.
Okay.
And you're gonna have something that you feel decent making, and sometimes not.
Right.
But I also want you to think about like a little bit of the psychology behind this, because kind of the old way and a lot of the public information on wholesaling and stuff, and all this formula and teaching you how to go through it. Imagine you're a seller, right? And I tell you like, look, I'm gonna say you have a house worth, I don't know, 70, and I say, look, I'm gonna come and see the house and take pictures, and then I'm going to inspect it, and then I'm going to make you an offer, right? So I go out there, drive out there. Number one, it's probably a waste of my time, because I could be making a lot more offers and stuff like that. And then I make them an offer for like 50, and then I have a buyer that makes me an offer at 45. Now I have to come back and ask for a price reduction. They're going to say, for what?
Okay,
you know what? The property
I didn't hear that. You broke your phone, cut out on what you were offering. You started at 50, you contracted for 50, and you got a buyer that wanted it for what?
Let's say 45, right? Let's say 40 or 45, doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
Then I go back to you as a seller and I say, I need a price reduction.
Right.
They're probably going to say, why? You already saw the property.
Right.
You looked at it. Like you...
Right.
Well, why you need a price reduction now? Like, are you just messing with me?
Right.
You're fucking with me, right? So now put it like this, right? And I feel like you lose your negotiating power. Now let's flip it up. You're the seller. I'm the buyer, right? Say, look, my name is Mike. I buy properties in this area all the time. I know what numbers I like. So, I get your bottom line or whatever. Same situation. I say, look, I'm going to send you an offer for 50 over the phone right now. I close cash. I close quickly. There's a contingency in there. In case, and I'm going to ask you straight up. I'm going to say, are there like some major repairs or anything? If you tell me no, I'm going to say, okay, cool. I'm going to send you an offer for 50. Obviously, I just got to stop by at some point, confirm. My partner might have to see it just to make sure that number definitely works for us. We'll get it done. The contract, it's a default 7-day. If I can get in there in 2 days, 3 days, hopefully I can knock it out a lot faster for you. But we keep a 7-day inspection just as a default. So, if there's nothing major, we'll be able to do that 50. If so, if not, we might have to. I usually wouldn't even say this, but just bear with me hypothetically. It's like, there's a reason why, right? If you haven't seen it, if you're making an offer blind, why you might have to take that number down, right? But once you're under contract, there's a psychological component where that person is already committed to you. They're no longer marketing. They're already thinking of their problem being sold. They're already, ready to move forward. They're thinking of the money in their bank account, their problem, this pain in the ass being gone. So then they're anticipating this closing. And then if you come back after you find your buyer and that same buyer gave you the offer for 40, now let's say 45, now you know where you need to be. So now you can come back and say, okay, look, we did the inspection. I can't give you 50, but I can definitely do 40. And think about it. By the time you hold on to this property another 6 months, or if you pay a realtor commission, or if you go through multiple buyers and their shit keeps falling through, they can't get approved, it's probably going to be pretty hectic. And again, this goes back to the seller motivation. But at that point, it makes sense, because the offer was blind, for you to come back and give and need that price reduction anyway. And at the same time, that works for you because rather than driving out to every single property that may or may not be a deal, right? Or maybe you'll have to get all these different people going through the property. You don't have to do that, and you could just be at home making calls and making offers and then doing things that make more sense, and it's a better use of your time.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so you said that you offer if I'm the buyer and you're the seller, that you got the property under contract, but then the buyer comes in and says that I'll only give you 45 for it. The scenario before was that, of course, they would be upset and they would ask the question why. They would ask, what is your why again for this scenario? You've already contracted with them, again. So what is the why?
Again,
later on?
It's not cut and dry. Every situation is different.
Right.
Sellers is different. But what I'm saying, in the first situation, right? If you go to the house and you take pictures and you do your own inspection, and then you make the offer, you've already seen it. So they're like, well, why do you need to come back again? And why do you need a price reduction? You saw it already. The other scenario is contingent on seeing the property. You're saying, yeah, I'm going to give you 50, but sign the contract, send it back to me. And when you do that, then it will be worth my time to come out and look at it, because I know that you're in that ballpark where I like to buy. But understand that I'm going to have to confirm, or my partner will have to confirm once they see it. Your partner being your buyer. Then once your buyer goes in and confirms, then you know where you need to be. It makes sense because you hadn't seen the property previously. You see what I'm saying? So it makes sense now that you're asking for a price reduction. I recommend always ask for a price reduction, by the way, if you, especially when you're dealing like banks and stuff, not necessarily individuals, but they may say yes, they may say no. It's always worth asking, but I'm just saying it's least likely to set off that red flag when you do it the way I'm telling you, and it's also better for you because you're not wasting your time. In most cases, again, it's not black and white thing.
Okay. So because I just had that, I think I texted you yesterday about sending a addendum for the price reduction.
Right.
Because and what I did tell them, I contracted for 35, and I amended it for 25. And what I told her, which was true, I can't get anybody to come out. It's only been a week that into my inspection period. I can't even get anybody out there to come in, any of my partners to come out and look at it, because the numbers just don't work. They just don't work. So I need the price to be lowered, and to rebuild this house would take about $100,000, and I said, that the comps in the area were such and such a price and whatnot. So
okay, so
they
I'll
didn't
give you my thoughts
it.
on that, right?
Yeah.
That's a good start. I'm glad that you did that, actually, because it shows that you're following up and so on and so forth. But you had it under contract at 35. Now, if you just ask for that price reduction for 25, what happens if you get an offer at 23? You're not going to be able to go back and then ask for a second price reduction. Typically, you get to ask that one time. So what I would prefer to see you do is to, and again, there's a little risk involved here, but you used up kind of that inspection period. I prefer to see you send the first addendum saying, I couldn't get my people out. I needed extension of my inspection period. Then try to get another week. Then during that week,
but I know they weren't. I already know they're not going for that. I already knew. They already told me they got gave me a lot of information, which I thought they might have been not telling the truth, but I wasn't sure. This property was the property in Homewood. It's gutted. It needs. They ran out of money. They couldn't finish it. It's a big property. It's gutted on the inside. It's gutted. The outside needed a lot of work. The garage is in a nice area on a nice piece of property, but they spent $42 for the property, wanted to fix it up, ran out of money. All he was able to do was a part of the roof, and somebody called and he couldn't do any more work on it. So they wanted to sell it, and I'm losing my train of thought. And so it was gutted. It was in terrible, terrible shape. I thought, that would have made it a good deal. I contracted it for $35. They had it on the MLS for $49.9.
Okay.
She told me, yeah, they told me when I did contract with them that somebody else had called them and wanted to offer them $40. So I put it on on Craig's. I got no play at all, nothing. Nobody called, nobody did anything with it. So a week has gone by. I got another week into my inspection period. Yesterday, I, asked for 20. Asked for it to be reduced to 25. They didn't go for that. So that contract is null and void now. But she told me what they were going to do, because my thing is, so now I know she wasn't telling the truth. They weren't telling the truth, because she was a little upset, and what she was saying was, well, they're just going to knock the house down and sell it for the land. But yet I was told before that they had somebody, that offered them $40,000. They had plenty of people calling and wanting to buy the property. So I'm like, well, that's great. I'm glad I got in on it, at the price I got in on it. But that price still $35, but that gutted, that needed so much work, still didn't work, So, and I said that to say, all of that information I already had. They weren't going down. They were trying to get their money back. They said somebody offered them, I think she said 40,000 or 30,000.
The
Somebody
seller's always
offered
going to
them
say
30.
something like that. In my experience,
Say that again?
The seller's almost always going to tell you something like that. Yeah.
Right. So I offered, again, I tried to amend it, and they didn't go for it.
Okay,
so,
now that happens. There are times where they won't go for it, right? So I have another student right now, right? Minnie's got this property she was working on for a long time, and it basically came to the same thing. You got to realize, when I talk about follow-up, all my best deals come through follow-up. When I say follow-up, some stuff gets rejected the first time. A week later, they want to move forward, right? Even if I cancel my contract.
Okay.
There are other times where it gets rejected, and I follow up once a month.
Yeah.
6 months later, 7 months later, they come back. Oh, do you still want this property? I say, yeah, but now I don't want it at the price I was offering you before. I wanted $10,000 less because I bought something else. So I'm saying is, you gotta not. A lot of things they tell you, you can listen to it, but you don't take it at that face value. And just because you cancel your initial contract, it doesn't mean your deal is dead. You don't have the rights to, keep marketing it like that. But you can still revive that deal. So what I'm saying is, in this case, the ideal thing to do would have been really to try to get that inspection period extended another week, right? And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It's all good. You tell them, look, my guy couldn't get out there in 7 days. Now we're already on the contract. What's another 3 days or 5 days? Just let me do this so we can knock this thing out. They say no, and they say, well, I'm very sorry, but I can't be on the line for this deposit if I'm not able to inspect the property. So you understand why I got to cancel this contract. You got $40,000, and shoot, I'm not going to take money out of your pocket. Go for it. You should go for it. Like, you got to have that negotiating power where you okay with letting things go. And like right now, you kind of have to fake that because you're still looking for deals. But there'll come a point where you have a lot in your pipeline where you're really like, yo, if you got something better, take it. So when you have that attitude, it comes out over the phone too. It really does help your negotiation because they're going to try to tell you things like that. So the first thing I would do is try to extend that inspection period, right? And if they say no, and you run out, you don't have time, then you do have to cancel your contract because you will be liable for the deposit otherwise. The other thing then is, like I said, as far as asking for the price reduction, I would not do that until you have a buyer who's committed, because again, if they lower to 25 and you get an offer for 20, you can't go back and ask for another. I mean, you could, but it's very unlikely that you ask for a second price reduction. But what I would do, let's say you had it for 35, you were marketing it for what, like 40? Just trying to pick up like 5?
45.
Okay, so let's say you were marketing for 45. Now, what you could do, again, don't do this in the beginning because you could screw yourself. But there comes a point where you don't have too many options. What I would do, and what I do to my list is, let's say you had it at 35, you market it for 45, it didn't sell. Well, then next thing I'm gonna do is, I ask them for the extension of the inspection period also, but then I'll resend it out to my buyers list and say, huge price reduction, 40,000, and you only make it 5. But again, and then if it doesn't sell, I'll say huge price reduction, 35. And yeah, it sounds like, okay, well, I'm buying for 35. How am I going to sell it for 35? But if you can get someone to say, okay, at 35, sign a contract,
Right.
maybe put up a deposit, then you can even go past your inspection period. Well, actually, if it's 35, you can't. But let's say if it was 30 and 35, you could. But even if you're at 35, if you have the buyer locked in at 35, then okay, well, if I go back to these people and get a $5,000 reduction, that would be my spread. So if you know that you have the buyer at 35, you can go back and ask for 30. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, if they would have went for it, but I was sure they wouldn't.
Well, don't be sure, because even if they don't go for it the first time, right? Even if they thought maybe someone did offer them 40, maybe it was another wholesaler, and when the wholesaler can't sell it and it comes back, you tell them, look, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you kind of wasting my time. You said you had 40, now you don't, and now my money is elsewhere. So I told you I could do 30. You want to move for 30 or no? You don't put it in your head that you know what they're gonna do, because at the end of the day, no matter what they've told you and all that stuff, situations change, times change, things change.
Right.
So you don't want to put that limiting belief on yourself that like they're not gonna take it. They might take it. It might not.
Okay.
And even if you're, like I said, if you have to cancel the contract, number one, that just shows that you're willing to walk away because you have other deals that you can make money off of. So that's good. And number two, you could come back to them in a week or two. Sometimes, like I have ads out there, and again, I'll send you the buyer stuff because there's a lot more stuff you probably need to be doing, working on building a buyer's list, and selling the property, some of the advertising stuff we talked about. I'd like to go over that with you again. But again, like sometimes people hit me up from some ads I have existing, a month after, a buyer ad, a month after, do you still have this property? I say, no, I don't. But then I'll follow up with that person and I say, hey, a month later, did you sell that for 40? Well, I can take, we're buying again. We closed another deal. You could have been done, but we're buying again, and I'm still interested if you could do 30, right? If they say, okay, you write up a new contract, right? You write it at 30, then you call that buyer who just hit you up. Hey, man, I remember that property I didn't have? I got it for you. What's up? Let's do it right now. Done.
Okay. Yeah. And that is what I did actually, and also what I'm doing right now with you. I do have some properties that I visited before that I want to revisit it, but that's what I did with you when I first got with you. I gave, I've revisited the property again once I got with you.
Do it many times.
So
sometimes you gotta do it once a month, 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I do have an address here that I want to revisit too. But okay, so with this 157, and let me say this too. Okay, so this is the person I needed to call yesterday. I'm gonna call today and make an offer. So I went to the property. Okay, so now I've established that it is the ARV is 25, did I say? With those comps, 25.
Put around 25.
25. Okay. So I did go to the property, took video and everything. The property looked pretty good, but once I got there, there was water running. A pipe was busted. So a guy did come, a friend of hers came, and he shut the water off, and he pointed out where he saw the holes in the pipe. So there was water all over the basement floor, and, the pipe had busted, and we could see that it looked like a pipe missing, actually, like it was running like a faucet.
Okay.
A place, yeah. So considering that, happened, and I want to price it and not necessarily saying that I would get the 10, but my margin is 10,000.
Right.
Yeah. So with that pipe, those pipes being busted, plus they told me the furnace was new, new furnace, got it last year, but now I don't know the condition of the furnace with the water running in that room. So I really don't know where to price it now. What my offer should be.
I would still kind of stay at this point, and here's what I would do. I would talk to her and say basically this. Look, I know you want 25. I ran some initial numbers, just initial, right? I got something on the same street. It's built in the 50s. It's in good condition. It's larger. Just sold. However long ago this was, a couple months ago, for 26. Now you understand, I gotta make a profit. It's gotta work for both of us. I want you to walk fast. I want to close. I want to give you cash. I gotta make something. I can't do 25. There's no money in that. That's retail for something in good condition. Now, granted, I've been there. That pipe is busted. I gotta work on that. You know, what can you realistically do? What's the lowest number that you can give me? She's gonna push back, whatever. Okay, just ballpark this for me so I can know if it's even worth my time to have some more people come out. If not, I'm okay to just kind of part ways. She's going to give you a number. You got to push for the lowest number. Maybe she'll say 20. Maybe she'll say 15. She'll probably say like 20.
But even if,
right?
But
then
even
from there,
if she took 20, but even if she took the 20, that's still the ARV is 25.
Okay, again, you got to, don't worry about ARV right now, because at the end of the day, you don't decide ARV. You don't decide what the inspection costs. People try to tell you that. If you go on Bigger Pockets, all these forums, they try to tell you that. You're not the buyer. You're basically finding properties, right? So she's going to tell you that. Believe me, once, and I've done this, if you try to negotiate the final price before you have a signed contract, it's very difficult to get the number you need. If you do it when you're already in contract, it is significantly easier. It's not a guarantee, but significantly easier. So if you can get her to just, she needs to lower where she's at. Then you say, okay, I'm going to look at this with my partner, I'm going to send you an offer, we're interested. Hang up the phone. Then via email, ideally, I'd like you to send a written contract to her. You send it to her. That way, when the price is low, you're not on the phone with her for this initial shock value, right? Then you're going to call to follow up, all right? And at that point, just try to get the contract signed. You will have an inspection period, right? Because of the way we do our contracts. At that point, don't worry about ARV. Don't worry about the seller. That's on hold. That's on pause. Then you're going to go into frantic buyer mode. You're going to get on GoSection8.com. You're going to call every landlord in that area. You're going to talk to them. You're going to go do the bandit sign thing. Remember I talked, this is the cheaper way to do that too. You're going to get on all the classified sites. You need to be calling all the other wholesalers in the area. All these different things you talk about. Find a buyer, find a buyer, find a buyer. It's the only thing. Then when you talk to the buyer, they're the ones who's going to tell you, like, if somebody's a plumber by trade, it could be, you know, a $5 fix. If they hire a general contractor, it could be a $5,000 fix. That's why when people tell you, you know, run the numbers, to me, that's a load of crap. Like, I had a guy, he does central air. You know, he'll come in, the AC's not working, right? He's come in and he'll just be like, oh, dude, you just needed some Freon. Boom, I filled it up for you. Don't even worry about it. No cost. Another guy, maybe a shady guy, might come in and say, oh, you needed a new air handler. You need this. It charge you $3,000. It's like an auto mechanic, right? So you don't know what that number is going to be. You know, you could guess, but, you know, you just tell them, look, go do your inspection. Make me an offer. They're going to come back to you. They're going to tell you the number that they want to pay, right? Let them give you that number. Then whatever number they give you, then you go back to your seller and say, hey, remember that busted pipe? Man, that shit was a lot worse than we thought. Hey, remember these comps? I just found some lower ones. Hey, look, I really want to move with this. We can close on this tomorrow, but based on X, Y, Z, I need to drop this price, you know, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. And at that point, that person's already looking forward to closing, whatever. There's a high chance they'll meet you in the middle, or they'll come down, or whatever, depending on their situation. Again, it might not always work, but those are the steps that I want you to take. Don't be jumping ahead to that ARV and figuring out the inspection, all that stuff, because that information is largely irrelevant to regardless of what the
so either your phone or my phone started making a lot of noise there.
Yeah, I heard that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so with this one, I'm the AR, and I heard you say, you don't want. I heard you say that, but I mean, I don't know how else I'm supposed to determine what the offer is.
And what we'll do is, like, I'm gonna email you the steps, like the boom 1, 2, 3. You're gonna look at it like a checklist.
Okay.
You're gonna do this. You cross it off. Send me a text message. What did the lady respond? I'm gonna give you the script. Say this. Mike, I said that. Cross it off. Then the next thing, you're gonna go one at a time instead of jumping ahead and all this other stuff.
No, I'm not jumping ahead. I'm not jumping ahead at all. I'm going step by step by what you said in the module.
No, I just want to make sure,
because I do have those written down. I have I've taken very good, precise notes.
Actually, I know you have, for sure. But what I want you to understand is the modules. Those are videos that a lot of it's ideal, but a lot of it is to give you the foundation so you understand like kind of what's doing. But then you got to understand in the real world when you get out there, you know what the ideal is, you know what the ARV means and stuff like that, and you know that's your goal is to get in that circle. But when we do it in real time, things change up, and you gotta.
Oh yeah.
It's not always gonna be exactly like that,
Okay. So okay, I'm stressing this one because I need to get back to her today. I was supposed to get back with her yesterday, but so I'm gonna do in my head I'm thinking 15. But you say I should offer her 25 even though the comp says 25.
Give me one second. I'm sorry, I just got a text message.
And I know she did tell me before, I guess she spoke to somebody, I don't know how long ago, I think it might have been a while ago. She spoke to somebody and said they offered her 10 and she really didn't like that. So
that's cool. I mean, again, you could not like it, right? But
right. But if that's what it is, that's where it's at. That's where
it's at. She may not be sufficiently motivated. You know what I'm saying? Like, this might not ring true for you, but I have this example. Like, as a kid, I used to buy these video games like $50, $60, and you can trade them back into the store once you play them. So you play it for a week, you beat it, you go back, you expect them to give you at least $30, $40, right? They offer you like $2, literally, and then they turn back around and sell it at a $5 discount. They sell it for $55. You pay $60, you use it for a week, they buy it for $3, and they sell it back for $50. But I'm saying, like, if you want a new game, especially as a kid or something, and you have no use for that or whatever it is, a lot of times you're like insulted at the offer. But at the end of the day, you take it. You know what the example is? A pawn shop. I actually had Mindy watch. I sent her episodes of Pawn Stars, right? When people go to a pawn shop, they always think their stuff is more valuable. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna get $100 for this, and then the people at the pawn shop offer them like $10, and they're like, no way, they get pissed. It's like, I'm not taking that. And some people walk out the door, they're like, hell no, I'll go search this. And some people are like, for real, you can't do a little bit better? Maybe 15?
Right.
Come on, man, And they give them $15, and they're like, shit, man, that sucks. But they take it and go. It's the same concept right there.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, so still, I want to be clear on what I should offer her. Am I offering her the 25 or the 15 that I have in my head?
So you want to be at 15, you said?
Yep.
Okay, now I'd make the offer at 15.
All right, 15.
But try to get her to give you the number first when you make that call today.
Say that again now?
Make her give you a verbal number lower than 25. Then you send the offer via email, ideally, or fax or whatever. And then and then you can go from there.